At 73 years old, I've accumulated a few things: $12.3 million in liquid assets, a portfolio of 6 rental properties worth about $8 million, a beachfront home in California valued at $4.2 million, and, apparently, a family that thinks I'm too senile to notice them plotting to steal it all. My name is Richard Castellano, and I built my fortune through 40 years of commercial real estate development. I started with a single duplex renovation in 1981 and retired in 2019 with a portfolio that generates enough passive income to fund a very comfortable lifestyle. My wife, Marie, died 3 years ago. Cancer, and since then, I've been living alone in our Malibu house, traveling frequently, staying active, and generally enjoying the retirement we planned together. I have 3 children: Anthony, 49, my oldest, a corporate attorney in San Francisco; Lisa, 46, a marketing executive in Los Angeles; and David, 42, who runs a struggling tech startup in San Diego. All 3 are intelligent, educated, and, as I recently discovered, completely willing to have me declared mentally incompetent to get their hands on my assets. The discovery happened 2 weeks ago, completely by accident. I was having lunch with my grandson Marcus, Anthony's son, at a cafe in Santa Monica. Marcus is 23, just graduated from UCLA, and one of the few family members who visits me regularly without seeming to count the minutes until he can leave. We were talking about his job search when his phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a notification, and I saw it before he could grab the phone. Family Meeting Group Lisa. Dad's evaluation is scheduled for the 15th. Dr. Morrison confirmed he'll do the assessment. Marcus's face went white. He snatched up the phone, but I'd already seen enough. "What evaluation?" I asked calmly. "Nothing, Grandpa. Just." "Marcus, I'm old, not stupid. What evaluation?" He looked trapped, his loyalty torn between his father and his grandfather. Finally, he sighed. "Grandpa, I think you should talk to Dad about this. Or you could tell me right now and save us both some time." Marcus wrestled with his conscience for a moment, then made a decision. He unlocked his phone and handed it to me. "I'm not supposed to be in this chat. Dad added me by mistake and forgot to remove me. I've been worried about what they're planning." I took the phone and started scrolling through the group chat. There were about 50 messages going back 3 weeks. What I read made my blood run cold. "Anthony, we need to move forward with a conservatorship plan. Dad's getting more erratic." "Lisa, did you see his Facebook posts? He's talking about going paragliding in Switzerland. At 73, that's not normal behavior." "David, it's not just about the risky activities. He's making financial decisions without consulting us. He donated $50,000 to that animal shelter last month." "Anthony, exactly. That's a sign of declining judgment. We need to establish a pattern of concerning behavior." "Lisa, what about Dr. Morrison? Can we trust him to give the right evaluation?" "Anthony, Morrison owes me a favor from that malpractice case I handled. He'll conduct a thorough evaluation, and his report will reflect appropriate concerns." "David, so we're really doing this? We're having Dad declared incompetent." "Anthony, we're protecting him from himself, and protecting our inheritance from his increasingly erratic decisions." "Lisa, the intervention is set for the 15th. We'll all be there, along with Dr. Morrison. We present him with the evaluation results and the conservatorship papers. By the end of the day, we'll have legal authority to make financial and medical decisions on his behalf." "David, what if he fights it?" "Anthony, with what? Once Morrison's evaluation is on record, and we have documentation of his risky behavior and questionable financial decisions, no judge will side with him. He's 73 years old, recently widowed, living alone, making impulsive donations, and planning extreme sports trips. It writes itself." I handed the phone back to Marcus, my hands shaking, not from age or weakness, but with rage so pure it felt like fire in my veins. "How long have you known about this?" I asked quietly. "About 2 weeks. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do. They're my parents, but you're my grandfather, and this is wrong." "It's more than wrong, Marcus. It's elder abuse. It's fraud. What are you going to do?" I looked at my grandson, the only family member who'd shown me any loyalty or honesty, and made a decision. I'm going to teach them that underestimating me was the biggest mistake they've ever made. That afternoon, I met with my attorney, Howard Klein. Howard had been handling my legal affairs for 30 years, and he didn't scare easily. But when I showed him the screenshots Marcus had taken of the group chat, his face darkened. "Richard, this is serious. They're conspiring to commit conservatorship fraud. That's a felony in California." "I know. Can we use this to stop them?" "We can report it to the police, Adult Protective Services." "No. I don't want to prosecute my children. I want to protect myself and teach them a lesson they'll never forget." Howard leaned back in his chair. "What did you have in mind?" "I want to liquidate everything, properties, investments, assets, everything except a modest amount for my own needs. I want to donate half to charity and put the other half in an irrevocable trust they can't touch." That's aggressive. They're planning to have me declared mentally incompetent to steal my life's work. I'd say aggressive is appropriate. Liquidating your entire portfolio will take time. Properties alone could take months to sell. I have 2 weeks. Can we do it or not? Howard thought for a moment. If you're willing to accept below-market prices, use cash buyers, and skip normal contingencies. If you're willing to work around the clock, maybe we can liquidate the majority of your holdings. Then let's do it. All of it. I want them to show up for their little intervention and find there's nothing left to steal. Richard, you're going to make yourself significantly less wealthy. I'm 73 years old, Howard. How much money do I really need? I'd rather give it to causes Marie and I cared about than let our children steal it through legal fraud. All right. But there's one more thing we should do. What's that? We should document your mental competence. Thoroughly. I want neuropsychological evaluations, cognitive testing, the works. And I want it from doctors who have no connection to your family. Why? Because when your children try to claim you made these decisions while mentally incompetent, we'll have ironclad proof that you were perfectly sound. This isn't a breakdown, Richard. This is strategy, and we need to document that. The next 2 weeks were the most intense of my life since Murray's death. Day 1. Comprehensive neuropsychological evaluation with Dr. Sarah Martinez, a renowned specialist with no connection to my family. I spent 6 hours doing cognitive tests, memory assessments, and executive function evaluations. Dr. Martinez's report concluded I had cognitive function in the superior range for my age group, with no signs of dementia, impairment, or decline. Day 2. Howard and I started contacting cash buyers for my rental properties. Real estate investors I'd worked with for decades, people who understood the market and could move fast. Day 3. Listed the Malibu house with a luxury realtor, priced aggressively for a quick sale. I'd live there until closing, then move to a furnished rental. Day 4. Met with financial advisors to begin liquidating investment accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, everything converted to cash. Day 5. First property sold. A 4-unit apartment building in San Diego. Accepted an offer 8% below market value for immediate closing. Day 6. Second property sold. A commercial retail space in Los Angeles. Day 7. Met with Marie's favorite charities to arrange donations, the Cancer Research Foundation where she'd been treated, the animal shelter she'd volunteered at for 20 years, and the Children's Hospital where she'd served on the board. Day 8. Third and fourth properties sold, 2 residential duplexes. Day 9. Received an all-cash offer on the Malibu house from a tech entrepreneur. $4.1 million. Close in 5 days. No contingencies. Accepted immediately. Day 10. Investment liquidation completed. $12.3 million in cash now sitting in accounts. Day 11. Fifth and sixth properties sold. My last remaining rental properties. Day 12. Established the Marie Castellano Charitable Trust, an irrevocable trust that would distribute funds to selected charities in perpetuity. Funded it with $11 million. Day 13. Moved out of the Malibu house into a furnished condo rental in Marina del Rey. 1 bedroom, month-to-month lease, $4,000 a month. Day 14. Everything was liquidated. The properties were sold, the investments converted to cash, the charitable donations made, the trust established. Of my original $24.5 million in assets, I now personally controlled about $2.8 million in liquid funds, enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life without any financial stress. The other $21.7 million was either donated to charity or locked in an irrevocable trust my children couldn't touch. On the evening of day 14, I booked a ticket to Dubai. The intervention was scheduled for 2 p.m. on the 15th at my Malibu house, except, of course, I no longer owned the Malibu house. I didn't tell them that. Instead, I woke up at 4 a.m., drove to LAX, and caught an 8 a.m. flight to Dubai. 16 hours in the air gave me plenty of time to think about what I was doing, and whether I was being too harsh. Then I'd remember that group chat. Dad's evaluation is scheduled. Dr. Morrison confirmed he'll do the assessment. The casual way they discussed having me declared mentally incompetent. The calculation behind using a doctor who owed Anthony a favor. The complete absence of genuine concern for my well-being, just concern for their inheritance. No, I wasn't being too harsh. I was being exactly harsh enough. I landed in Dubai at 6 a.m. local time the next morning, the morning of the 16th. While my children were presumably losing their minds trying to figure out where I was and what had happened to all my assets, I was checking into a luxury hotel with a view of the Burj Khalifa. I slept for a few hours, then met with the contact I'd arranged through a concierge service, a skydiving company that specialized in tandem jumps for older clients. Mr. Castellano, the instructor said, a fit Australian woman named Kate, I have to ask, have you ever skydived before? Never, which is exactly why I'm doing it now. You understand this is physically demanding? The altitude, the free fall. I passed your medical clearance. I work out 5 times a week. I hiked the Grand Canyon rim to rim last year. I'm 73, not decrepit. Kate grinned. Fair enough. Let's get you certified as definitely not mentally incompetent. The jump itself was scheduled for late afternoon, 4 p.m. Dubai time, which was 5 a.m. California time. Perfect timing. At 3:45 p.m., strapped into my harness and connected to Kate for the tandem jump, I pulled out my phone and recorded a video message. Hello, Anthony, Lisa, and David. By now, you've probably realized that I'm not at the Malibu house. You've probably also realized that the house has been sold. In fact, everything has been sold. The rental properties. Sold. The investment portfolio. Liquidated. The Malibu house. Closed escrow 2 days ago. All of it gone. I know what you're planning because Marcus accidentally stayed in your group chat. I've read every message. I know about Dr. Morrison and his convenient willingness to evaluate me in exchange for past favors. I know about the conservatorship papers you had drawn up. I know you were planning to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could control my assets. Here's the thing about that plan. It only works if there are assets to control. I've donated approximately $11 million to charities your mother and I cared about, cancer research, animal welfare, children's hospitals. The remaining funds are in an irrevocable trust that will continue making charitable donations for decades. You can't touch it. You can't challenge it. It's done. As for my mental competence, well, I turned the camera to show the view from the plane minus 13,000 feet above Dubai, the city sprawling below us like a circuit board of lights and architecture. I'm about to jump out of this airplane, at 73 years old, because I can, because I want to, because there's not a damn thing wrong with my judgment or my mind. You wanted me declared incompetent. Here's what actual incompetence looks like. Thinking you could gaslight your own father into surrendering his autonomy without him noticing. Thinking you could use a corrupt doctor to steal a lifetime of work. Thinking I was too old, too senile, too bereaved to see exactly what you were doing. I'm not incompetent. I'm not declining. I'm not making poor decisions. I'm making excellent decisions, like cutting out the people who were willing to commit elder abuse for money. Consider this your inheritance, the knowledge that you destroyed your relationship with your father for money you'll never see. Was it worth it? I ended the recording just as Kate tapped my shoulder. Ready? Absolutely. The door opened. Wind screamed past us. Dubai glittered below. And I jumped. The free fall was indescribable. 60 seconds of pure adrenaline, wind, and freedom. When the parachute deployed and we drifted down toward the landing zone, I felt more alive than I had since Marie died. Kate landed us perfectly. As my feet touched solid ground, I was laughing, genuinely, joyfully laughing. How do you feel? Kate asked, helping me out of the harness. Like a 73-year-old man who just proved he's sharper than his children. I uploaded the video to the family group chat immediately. Then I turned off my phone and went to enjoy Dubai. I kept my phone off for 3 days. I toured the Burj Khalifa, visited the Dubai Mall, took a desert safari, ate incredible food, and generally enjoyed the fact that I was on the other side of the world from my scheming children. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had 267 text messages, 89 missed calls, and 34 voicemails. I scrolled through some of the texts. Anthony, Dad, where at REOU? Anthony, what have you done? Anthony, the Malibu house is so old. To who? Anthony, you can't do this. Anthony, this is insane. This is proof you're not mentally competent. Anthony, call me immediately. Lisa, Dad, please. We were trying to help you, Lisa. You're making terrible decisions. You need to let us fix this. Lisa, $11 million to CHARITI. Have you lost your mind? Lisa, what about your grandchildren's college funds? Lisa, what about us? David, this is so up, David. You're punishing us for caring about you, David. Do you have any idea what you've done to our plans? David, we need that money. My company needs investors. David, you're being selfish. That last one almost made me laugh out loud. I was being selfish for not letting them steal my money through legal fraud. I called Howard instead of responding to any of them. Richard, thank God. Your children have been calling my office nonstop. Anthony threatened to sue me for elder abuse. Can he? Not successfully. We have documentation of everything. Dr. Martinez's evaluation, the paper trail showing you made all decisions while fully competent, your own statements about your reasoning. You're legally bulletproof. Good. What's the status of everything? All sales are finalized. All donations are complete. The trust is established and irrevocable. There's nothing they can challenge, nothing they can claw back. It's done. Perfect. Richard, they're claiming you've had a breakdown. They're talking about pursuing conservatorship anyway, arguing that the liquidation itself is evidence of incompetence. Let them try. I'm skydiving in Dubai. I have video proof of my mental and physical fitness. I have a neuropsychological evaluation from a top specialist. What judge is going to declare someone incompetent who can plan and execute a complex financial strategy while on another continent? Fair point. What do you want me to tell them? Tell them I'll be home in 2 weeks. Tell them I'll meet with them then, at a time and place of my choosing. And tell them if they pursue any legal action against me, I'll release their group chat messages to Adult Protective Services and the State Bar Association. Anthony could be disbarred for what he did, conspiring with Dr. Morrison to falsify a medical evaluation. I know. Make sure he knows I know. I spent 2 weeks in Dubai, then flew to Switzerland and went paragliding in the Alps, partly because it sounded amazing, partly because Lisa had mentioned it in the group chat as evidence of my declining judgment. The photos from that experience were spectacular. Me, 73 years old, soaring over the Swiss mountains with an instructor, grinning like a kid. I posted them on Facebook with a caption, "Living my best life. Turns out 73 is just a number." The comments were supportive, even enthusiastic. Friends from my real estate days, people I'd worked with over the decades, all celebrated my adventures. Only my children were silent. I returned to Los Angeles 4 weeks after the failed intervention. I'd been gone for a month, traveled to 2 continents, tried 2 extreme sports, and thoroughly documented my excellent health and mental fitness. I'd also had time to think about what I wanted to say to my children. I arranged a meeting at a restaurant in Santa Monica. Neutral ground, public place. All 3 of them showed up looking like they'd aged 5 years in the past month. Anthony spoke first. "Dad, we need to talk about what you've done." "What I've done?" "Let's talk about what you did. Let's talk about the group chat where you planned to have me declared mentally incompetent using a doctor you'd corrupted. Let's talk about conservatorship fraud. Let's talk about elder abuse. We were trying to help." "Stop. Lying. I have screenshots of every message. Marcus gave them to me. I know exactly what you were planning and why." Lisa tried a different approach. "Dad, you donated $11 million. That's our inheritance. That's our children's college funds. That's my money that I earned over 40 years. Your inheritance is whatever I choose to leave you. And I've chosen to leave you nothing. You can't do that." David's voice rose. "We're your children. You're adults who tried to steal from me through legal fraud. You don't get to cry about fairness now." Anthony pulled out his phone. "We consulted with attorneys. They say the liquidation itself is evidence of mental incompetence. No rational person would what? Donate to charity? Protect their assets from theft? Make decisions about their own money?" I pulled out my own phone. "I have a neuropsychological evaluation from Dr. Sarah Martinez that says my cognitive function is superior for my age. I have video of me skydiving and paragliding. I have a paper trail showing I planned and executed a complex financial strategy. What do you have? Group chat messages proving you conspired to commit fraud. Silence. Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to drop any plans to pursue conservatorship. You're going to accept that I've made irrevocable decisions about my assets. And you're going to leave me alone to live the rest of my life as I choose. And if we don't?" Anthony's voice was cold. "Then I'll release the group chat screenshots to Adult Protective Services and the State Bar Association. You'll be investigated for conservatorship fraud and potentially disbarred. Is that really the hill you want to die on?" More silence. Lisa started crying. "How did we get here? How did our family become this? You tell me, Lisa. I'm not the one who decided money was more important than relationships. I'm not the one who was willing to have their father declared incompetent for financial gain. We thought you weren't thinking clearly," she sobbed. "After Mom died, you started acting different. I started living. I started doing things Marie and I had talked about, but never did because we were too busy building businesses and raising children. I started taking risks and having adventures because life is short, and I don't want to spend my remaining years playing it safe. But the money is gone, Lisa. Donated to causes your mother cared about, locked in trusts you can't access. You need to make peace with that." David leaned forward. "What about us? What about our relationship with you? What relationship? You haven't visited me for anything other than obligatory holidays in 2 years. You call once a month, maybe. The only time you showed real interest in my life was when you were plotting to take it over. That's not fair. Marcus visits me twice a month. He calls every week. He checks in because he cares, not because he's monitoring my mental state for evidence. He's the only one who actually treated me like family instead of a bank account. So what now? Anthony asked. You're cutting us out completely? No, but I'm setting boundaries. You want a relationship with me? Earn it. Visit because you care, not because you're calculating inheritance. Call because you want to talk, not because you're checking if I'm still competent. Treat me like your father instead of an asset to be managed. And if we can't do that, then you'll have exactly the relationship you chose. None. I stood up. I'm 73 years old. I'm healthy, active, and mentally sharp. I've got enough money to live comfortably for the rest of my life. And I've got adventures planned on 3 continents. The only question is whether you want to be part of that life or not. But it'll be on my terms, not yours. I left the restaurant and walked out into the California sunshine, feeling lighter than I had in months. 6 months later. I'm writing this from a cafe in Barcelona. I've been traveling for the past 6 months. Spain, Portugal, Croatia, Greece. Living out of a suitcase, eating amazing food, meeting interesting people, and generally refusing to act like a man in his mid-70s is supposed to act. My relationship with my children is complicated. Anthony hasn't spoken to me since the restaurant meeting. Lisa sends occasional texts, tentative attempts at rebuilding something. David called last month to apologize, really apologize, without excuses or justifications. That conversation lasted 2 hours and felt like the first honest discussion we had in years. Marcus visits me wherever I am. He came to Barcelona last month, and we spent a week exploring the city together. He's the one family member who never saw me as anything other than his grandfather, and I'm grateful for that. The charitable donations have started making an impact. The Cancer Research Foundation is funding 3 new studies. The animal shelter built a new wing. The Children's Hospital established a program in Marie's name. I think about Marie often, about what she'd think of all this. I think she'd be sad about the family rift, but proud that I protected myself. She always said I was too trusting, too willing to assume the best in people. She was right about that. I'm 74 now. My hair is completely white. I need reading glasses, and I can't pull all-nighters like I used to. But my mind is sharp, my body is healthy, and I'm living a life I'm proud of. My children thought they could take that from me. They thought I was too old, too grieving, too diminished to see their scheme or fight back. They were wrong. And now they know exactly how wrong they were.